we are beginning the lesson 30, the page Yud 10, Hasulam, the right column, the line 9. Again and again, I recall in your memory that for the Kabbalah one must have a great patience. Because you're coming in the description of the worlds, you don't understand, you don't feel. There are too many phenomena that you don't understand. And you must go still above your understanding. And this in every lesson again and again and again. But it's not always like that. It will not be always like this. Always above your understanding you would have to go, really. If you would like to go on in getting more experienced in the spiritual worlds, and they are all in yourself, then you will learn, it will be even automatically. You will go further and further and further. And there will come a moment then when you would feel that you can't go back. And this is a great experience to undergo. So he had spoken the last time at the end of the lesson about the second restriction, Tzimtzum Bet, that the Malchut rose up to the place of the Binah, and the Binah descended to the body, and that's why we see that what the Zohar mentions, that the nation of Israel, when they received the Torah, they placed the asiyah, the doing, the action, and this is Malchut, before the Shmiyah, before the listening, hearing, understanding. So this means that they had taken upon them, all the consequences of the Tzimtzum Bet, of the second restriction. They made themselves their wish to receive. They diminished this wish to receive in order to receive the light through the midline, in order to give and not to receive the light egoistically. 9. Umichamat aliyat malchut lenikvei ha'einayim. 10. Nimta ka'asham מאוד, ונעשתה ראויה אחר כך, לעלות 11, ולהלביש אבא ואמא alleen, ולקבל מוחין, שהם 12, מוחין דחיה, כמו אמא הילאה. Point 9. ומחמת עליית המלכות לנקבה עיניים. And due to the rising up of the malchut to the nikve inayim, to the opening of the eyes. 10. Nimtaka sham me'od. She, the malchut, was sweetened over there very much. Was very much sweetened over there. V'na'asta reuya, and she was, she became suitable afterwards. Achar kach, la'alot, to rise up. 11. Ulehalbish abba v'ima alleen, and to dress the upper abba v'ima. Ulekabel mochin, and to receive the mochin. Shehem 12 mochin de chaya, that they are mochin de chaya, mochin of the chaya. Kmo ima ila'a, as the upper ima. Point. So because of the principle that the lower level, when it rises up to a high level, becomes like a high level. 12 after the point. Who sought Sihara 13 Bashalamuta point. Who sought, and this is the secret or the essence of, in Aramaic, Sihara Bashalamuta. Sihara is the moon. The moon Bashalamuta in her perfection. So in this case, the Malchut receives the Chokhmah when it rises to the lower Binah, to the Yishsut, and then receives the Chasadim with Abba V'Yima, and then she has Chokhmah, which is covered by Chasadim, and this is the perfection. The perfection of the lower level, of the level, what we call under the Chazeh. That it rises up to Abba V'Yima. In every 10 Sfirot we have it. And then we have both, we have Chasadim and Chokhmah. Chokhmah is within, and Chasadim is covers the Chokhmah. We say it Chasadim, we say it Chokhmah. Actually, in reality, it is Chasadim. I mean, the Or Yashar that Zeir Anpin gives to the Nukva is Or Yashar. And the light that is from the Malchut, or Choser, the light that she reflects by which she reflects this or Yashar. This makes the coverage of this or Yashar. And this she receives, and this is the perfection. 13. Ulefichach, b'matan Torah, higdimu Yisrael, 14, na'aseh lenishma, v'higdimu asiya lishmiya. Shebaze 15, zachu lekabbalat haTorah. Point. Ulefichach, and this is why b'matan Torah, during the how do we say matan Torah? Gift of the Torah. You see, not just receiving of the Torah, the gift of the Torah. Because the Torah was given as a gift. Very important to know this. This term, Matan Torah. This is why by the gift of the Torah, the Israel preceded the doing, Naaseh lenishma, placed, as it were, doing before the nishma, before the understanding. 14. V'higdimu asiya lishmiya. He repeats, and the doing placed before the listening, understanding. Shebazeh 15 zachu lekabbalat Torah, that by that they deserved receiving of the Torah. Point. Ki asiya shehi 16 malchut alta vehilbisha et Abba v'Ima alain. 17 v'nigla sod hayovel sha'ar hanun. Point. Ki asiya, because the asiya shehi amalchut, the doing, asiya is doing, and also the world of asiya, that the asiya, that this is malchut. 16 alta, rose up, v'ilbisha et Abba v'Ima elayin, and dressed the upper Abba v'Ima. 17 v'nigla sod hayovel, and then the secret of the yovel, of the 50th year, the sha'ar hanun, the 50th, the 50, the gate, the 50th gate was discovered, was unveiled, was revealed. Yeah, the 50th, this 50. You see, Moshe had received 49 gates of understanding. But when they received the Torah, was at that moment was just momentarily was revealed at that point the 50th gate of the understanding. That's why they, as the Torah described, that they had voices. Voice means zeir anpin, kolot, zeir anpin. So they went through the all the laws of the gravity, and they could see and hear the light. And still it is confusing. I have just several days ago received from someone who studies already Kabbalah for many years, for maybe 13 years, but 6 years with me, and a Jewish person. And he said to me, he asked me Thursday night, after the Zohar, he said to me, but Moshe Rabbeinu, the Moshe, our teacher, is this a power or is this a human being? You see, it is confusing still to understand how it works. And probably it's important now to tell about this something, because we are speaking about the worlds. And what I want to say to you, you can't learn it in any school. Our rabbis doesn't understand a word from this, what I say, because I take it from the Zohar, and they don't study the Zohar. So if you speak to someone who studies traditional Torah, then they're speaking only about the nation of Israel, about that flesh and blood. And not that this is wrong. I don't say that it is wrong, but this is far from completeness. They want to see only this. But we must look not how we would like to see our only a part of the reality, but we must see it completely, also from the perspective of the light itself. How can we do it? We can't understand the thoughts of the Creator. But there is a principle, Mi basari echazeh Eloka. From out of my flesh I will see the divine power. And in this case, it's very important to once and to understand this, what I would like to say, because it's very confusing. As I said, one can study many, many years, and he doesn't understand, still can't put it together, something what is above and what is beneath. And this is the same. But how? There was Ein Sof, only the light that doesn't change, never and nowhere, not above, not beneath. It is everywhere. It is in the holiness, and it is also in the unclean powers. Everywhere you can find the same light that is perfect. Ein Sof. And only by the kilim, by the lowers, it can be distinguished. It can show many levels, different levels. But this light has created the worlds. These worlds are an external part of the creation. These are powers in this system of the filters, filtering of the lights that enabling a person, a soul here on earth to rise up steadily to the higher levels, to understand them, to get the light from them, and to bring it down to the earth. This is the great task for, and the only reason for creation of the human beings. But how it works? After creating this external frame of the creation, the Creator, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we say, created the man, human being. Where he created him, very important what I want to say, very crucial and very special way. He created Adam. Where? He created Adam above, in the spirituality, in the Atzilut, and some of his body, a part of his partsuf, was also in the Asiya, in the Briya. And there were some risings of the worlds, and then he created the Adam, having two partsufim. Adam had in himself both masculine and feminine. Up to from the Chazeh and up, he was masculine, and from the middle and down, he was masculine. Part of it was masculine, but was over there was also a feminine part in him. This was not here on the earth. Very important what I want to say. The professors, even the Nobel Prize winners in the ontology, will not tell you this, because they don't study Zohar. But so very careful, listen, and forget what you have studied before. Just like a child. Because I don't tell a story, I tell how it is constructed, how it was constructed, and is constructed up till, from the beginning up till the time of the coming of the Mashiach. So he was born, he created him with two partsufim, masculine and feminine, and both of them were back to back. And that was enough. So in the upper world, Atzilut, and partly in the Bria, this was the man that was created. And when this man did good things, this was the creation of the man. And then the HaKadosh Baruch Hu created, this was the soul that he created. This parsuf of Adam was the soul, the inner part of the creation. So was the thought of the creation, to create souls within as the inner part of the creation. And as an inner part of the creation, he had a neshama, the inner soul. But this was only in the spirituality, in the Atzilut, and partly in the Bria. And then, this was all within the frame, within this ball, where all the universe was supposed to be created. But the goal of this creation was to bring the souls into this world where we are standing now, here, in this world, in this lonely world, the most the coarsest place in all the universe. You can't find the more coarser place in the whole universe than this place where we are standing. That's why the Creator, Hashem, we say, appointed for this goal, for this highly elevated goal, the souls, that as he has appointed the angels, these powers in the lower worlds, Asiya, Yitzira, and Bria, in different levels. So he had appointed the souls to bring this godly power, divine laws, to this lower world. So he placed this Adam that he created in the higher paradise. The higher paradise is the Atzilut, Malchut of Atzilut. Because Malchut is the kingship, the place where that has already the grown up, as it were, stage of wish to receive. This is already a creation. But to bring the soul of Adam to to this world where we are standing, all the mankind, where the all mankind is placed, there had to be undergone, the soul had to undergone many stages of changes. The changes in the way to make the dressing to this soul, because the soul itself couldn't come here without the dressing, because without the dressing it would just explode, like we see the comets, yeah. In the sky we see the comets, yeah. You see the comets like they appear sometimes, the tails of these comets you see, and then they explode. They're coming from the height, and they're coming closer to atmosphere, and they explode. The same was with the souls. So the soul of Adam had to be closed in a body, and this is possible only in such a way that in our lower world, is it impossible to get two genders in one body. In the spirituality, is this is just a normal thing, because this is the way of the correction, that one has, every partzuf has two in themselves, like Zohar has masculine and feminine. Then this is the higher man, a higher human being. This is the Zohar being. But this is in the spirituality, there's the powers, the operational power. But in our world, it's impossible to get two in one body. I mean, in one external body. That's why when the soul of Adam, which was double partzuf, double gendered, when it was placed into our world, how it was placed? His soul was brought down in every world. There were appointed different kind of powers to bring the soul of Adam to the earth. So in the Bria there were some powers, some angels, that they are called seraphim, burning up angels, that they burn themselves up because they are adjusted to the Atzilut. They are burning up when they are rising to the Atzilut, and they are getting again receive some existence when they are descending down below. And then his soul was brought to the Yetzirah, and Yetzirah, the angels over there, the Malachim, the name of Malachim in masculine, they took the soul of Adam and brought him down. What does it mean? Every world has now different dracher, different carrier, the information carrier, and the information different level of the coarseness. So in the Yetzirah, the soul of Abraham was covered with a more solid coverage, body, we say. And then the soul was brought, his soul was brought lower to the Asiya. In Asiya, you see, this is the world of action. Here, the angels are called Ophanim, from Ophan. So they have movement, they are like mechanical power, like they are more closer to the physical, our physical world. And they brought him to our world, and when his soul was brought to our world, then he had to be the Chava, the feminine part, had to be what we saw, had to be sown from him, to have her own body. So we see different how it works in the spirituality and in our world. And he was placed in the paradise. Everything, remember very carefully, that everything what is above, in the shoresh, in the root, the same takes place here in the lower worlds. And not on the contrary, but still also what happens in the lower world corresponds to the root. But everything is in power, potential, is present in the upper world. Because everything is prepared to response to the goal of the creation. And that's for this soul goal is everything created, also our world. And there is a paradise in Atzilut, Malchut of Atzilut. There is a lower paradise is Malchut of Asiya, the place of Binah of the Malchut of the Asiya. And there was, of course, also the paradise in our earthly surrounding here, somewhere in Hebron, in Israel. Because everything must correspond to each other. Very careful listen and try to this to understand and how it works. So all the plan of the creation is made in upper worlds, but the angels, the powers in the Bia, in the worlds of Bia, and the souls are responsible for the for the realization of this goal. Nothing else. Nothing other, no other goals. There are no other special human achievements that would differ from the goal of the creation. That's why if someone wants to become a multimillionaire or a great painter or whatever other speciality in any branch, this is the secondary to his or her own goal in the plan of the creation. This one can strive to do whatever in this world, what he likes, for what his or her soul, her capability or talent for is. One must, of course, use it, but together, or in the prime goal is to follow this in accordance with your eternal goal of the creation that is applicable to you. But look how it. So what we have above. We have above. In the spiritual worlds, we have the worlds, which are spiritual worlds, which are the external part of the creation. Then we have the soul, the souls. Adam had all the souls which were potentially created. Had Adam in his upper performance, he had potentially all these souls. But when he, and in this state, he was descended to this world. But then he sinned, and even in this world, he was in this world, he was placed in this world, but still he was able, first before his sin of eating from the tree of knowledge, it was here on earth. And just tell it in plain, as a plain story, just simple for you to understand how we can interpret the Torah. But so that's why but he could see, he could grasp things as the Torah describes it, from one end of the world to another world. So he was present, even he was here on earth, but spiritually he was in Atzilut, spiritually, before his sin, and partly in Asiya, in the Bria. But then he sinned. We will not speak about his sin now, and it's not, but just in general I tell. And then he his soul was broken up in pieces, in souls, in partly in many small souls which he firstly were united in him. And all the story what we read in the Torah, this, look, very important one. What is the story of the Torah? Firstly, everything comes from above. So when we are speaking about, the Torah speaks about Pharaoh. Pharaoh is the power in the spirituality. It is a klipa, but it is a power in the spirituality. How doesn't just we don't speak about this about the principle. So the Moshe is the soul in the upper world, in the Atzilut, and the soul of Moshe was also presented here on earth, because everything must come from the spirituality, from the higher worlds, from the roots to our world, but because everything has its root in the spirituality. So Moshe had its root in the spirituality, and once came the soul from the spirituality in our world, and was embedded, enclosed in a body of a person who was called Moshe, and he was the carrier of this power, of this soul in its root. That was called, the name was Moshe. And then this Moshe had undergone all his development, and he came to the point that Hashem appointed him to. First, he was all his story was the spiritual process in the upper world to bring forth this development, spiritual development towards the goal of the creation here on earth. Everything was what was here on earth was also in the upper worlds. All this struggle, everything was from the upper world, came into this world. How we will see just the principle. And so we see, and about the concerning the souls, there are three positions in the soul towards a person, towards a person in this world. There is a soul in its prime position before and closing into a body, into a physical body. There are different kinds of bodies, you see. You remember what I've told a little bit before, that by descending, due to the descending of a soul from its root, it receives while it descends, it receives, and at any level during this descending to our world, it receives still a different coverage, a different piece of body. Firstly, it is very high spiritual coverage. We will call it chashmal. Then lower, and nothing disappears in the spirituality. So when a soul comes in this world, it has all these partial coverage bodies, as it were, from very thin up till very coarse. And the coarsest level is our physical body. That is entirely from the sitra achra, from the unclean power, comes from the system of the unclean power. So there are three stages, main stages of the soul. The soul before descending and to our world and enclosing into a body of our world. When this soul stays above in the place on the root where it is, and then the second stage is when this soul descends to our world in a certain body and must undergo here on earth the process of growth, whereby this soul must enrich the original value of this soul 620 times. Because 620 is the Keter. To come to the Keter, the gematria of the Keter is 620. That's why we have 613 mitzvot, commandments, and 7 general commandments for all the mankind. 613 for the Yisrael, for the part of the Parsuf in every 10 sfirot, in every soul that are above the Chazeh, and the general 7 that are valid for all the 10 sfirot of the soul. And so there are 613 plus 7, 620 is Keter. That means that the soul must in the incarnation to undergo this process of growth, to come to enlarge it in 620 times. Then it comes to the Keter, and then it fulfills by this its destination, and then it comes, very important, listen very carefully, and it comes again back, it returns back, but not to the same place, but this is but to the third stage of this soul, where the soul is in the place where it was destined to come in according, destinated to come according to the plan of the creation. So we see there are 3 stages of a soul. And if one, of course, if a soul, if a man here on earth doesn't come or doesn't enrich, enlarge the soul 620 times in one incarnation, and probably even together with the incarnations that were before, then the soul must come back and work here, come back and work again here, up till it would reach this level, and that would by so coming to the perfection. This is from the point of view of the human beings, but from the point of the point of view of the light of the Akadosh Baruch Hu, of the Hashem, the Creator, there is no difference from whether the soul is in the beginning point, before the soul comes into into the body in our world, or after its destination, because it is everything present in this soul, in the first, in its root, as it is, as in the same way as everything is present in a seed that one puts in the ground, and he knows that from this seed will grow the apple tree, etc. So also the events in our world were predestined above. They are not like the same, not like that, but they correspond to the powers, to the processes that had to take place in order to bring all these system of the powers of the from the upper worlds into our world. This was all the Torah, what the Torah describes to us, and other things that are not described by the Torah, the other things from the history of the mankind, are part of this process of that is actually perpetuated, probably is good, from above, from the upper worlds, at all the rechi, all the rechi, all the rechi gevoerd wordt, all the everything is from in the above, everything is ruled by this and directed by this, by the operational system of the universe. It is very important to realize yourself. And of course, well, you can say, but how is about the free choice and this kind of things. Free choice is given to us to do or not to do good or to do bad. But also the consequences, we must care all the consequences of doing bad and feeling that we are doing bad, then we would be corrected from above in a proper way. So the free choice is actually doing good. Good means doing things that are corresponding to your soul, that bringing your soul in conformity with, actually bringing you with the laws of the universe, and by that bringing your soul to the perfection. This is what we are speaking about but in the Kabbalah we don't speak about the earthly things. When we are speaking, very important what I try to say. So when we are speaking about Moshe and Pharaoh, you will see later, without Hashem, you will see what we will learn. We will not learn about a human being that was Pharaoh, or human being of Moshe. That had to be happened, that had to be once was also someone like Moshe. But this is the consequence. The soul of the human being of flesh and blood is the consequence of his root of this Moshe. So he did in accordance to his root and to the powers which was given to him above. And he didn't fight with this. I mean, everyone fights, tries to bring himself with the in conformity with his soul on his root, but it is not always easy, and not sometimes we don't do it, but there is a feedback that function of this operational system, that when one wants to follow the right way and sometimes he goes astray, then he experiences that from above he is getting corrected. This correction, still feedback function, is due to the soul, that the parts of it, neshama and ruach, that are still in touch, always are in touch with its root. The nefesh can be lowered and can sin, as it were, together with the body, not completely like this, but it can be damaged, as it were. But due to these two upper pieces of the soul, ruach and neshama, they are affected by the root of the soul of this person, and they bring the suffering, as it will, the feeling of suffering if one, if this human being here on earth sins, then this shining of this line from the Ruach Neshama from above shines to the Ruach Neshama below, and this brings in the person the feeling of suffering, because he is in discrepancy with the laws of the universe, of course, and with its root. This is a short introduction to these aspects of above and the soul and a human being here, whether Moshe is a power of the universe, of the system, of the operational system, or whether Moshe is a human being. But we don't speak about the human beings. It doesn't matter for us. We're speaking about the soul of the Moshe, and the soul in its higher performance. What Moshe did, Moshe did everything when he, in conformity with his upper Moshe, and that's why Hashem called him Moshe, Moshe 2 times, and Moshe called Shmuel also Shmuel 2 times, because he called to the soul in its root and to the Moshe who was here on earth. Is this a little bit clear? Okay. So now he says about in the line 13, he said, Ulevichach, and that's why the gift of the Torah was in this event of the gift of the Torah, Israel were preceded the doing, or placed the doing before the listening, or before the understanding. So they placed the Malchut above, Malchut doing, above the Neshama. So Neshama was about a Neshama, the Binah that was descended in the body. And also here we see the Israel, the nation of Israel. Okay. The line 18. Before we are going further, you see what he said, that what he had said, that just the Zohar said that the receiving of the Torah, the gift of the Torah, was that the gate number 50 was open at the time when they received the Torah. It was like this. It was something tremendous. Of course, it is the spiritual the event. We don't speak about this, what had happened here on earth, because almost directly after the act, the fact of the gift of the Torah, after the nation stood before receiving the Torah, within several hours after that, a couple of hours, the nation became how do you call it? They became complaining. After what they had seen, they started complaining, fighting with Moshe and everything. You see, because the human being here on earth, the nation just received this force majeure. Yeah, force majeure, from above, just forced. They were forced to receive this, because would they not receive this, the world would have no meaning here. This lower world would have no meaning, because the lower world, our world, must correspond to must have the instrument that would allow it to bring it in conformity with the upper worlds, because otherwise, from where should the earth receive the light? That's why they were forced, and that's why that's why the Torah, the receiving of Torah, is called Matan Torah, the giving of the Torah. They were not receiving, and that's why they started to complain. You see, but but nothing disappears in the spirituality. Once they have stood, also the nation here on earth, and have received the Torah, because that was once in all the history that it had at that particular point, this power had to come to this world. This doesn't disappear, never does it disappear. And this is what the credit was that the Israel built up in the upper worlds. And that's why also they can use this credit for good things. And when they received the Torah, the power of the receipt of the Torah was such a great power that actually it was such a great power because the 50th gate was open to them. 50th gate of understanding. They were like angels. They had the clothes, the dressing like this, what we call it, chashmal, like the sparks of light. And even though it was just a moment, that the power of this and the seeing of this, all this happening, the Creator, to seeing Creator, hearing His voice, etc. Was this happening was such a great happening that the sin of Adam and Chava was redeemed? No, was forgiven. How would you call it? Not forgiven. The sin was forgiven. How would you call it? Redeemed. Not redeemed. No. Okay. It was. So the sin was already covered. Kapara. You know what kapara is? What we are doing on the Yom Kippur? What we are receiving on Yom Kippur? No, reconciliation. No. What is the verzoening? Okay, another word. So the sin of the atoning, yes, atoned. The sin of Adam and Chava was atoned. So there was the sin was, as it were, not anymore on the human race. Such a great happening it was. And should they had, but afterwards, you see, immediately afterwards, you remember the Moshe went to receive the Torah, and the nation, they built up the golden, how do you call it, the golden calf. You say it like this also in English? The golden calf, and by building golden calf, they were fallen again into the klipot and into the power of the Sitra Achra. Huh? Yes. Okay. But also, only the man gave the golden things, of course. But also, you see the golden calf was inspired by these masses, which that went together with the nation of Israel. They were also going out, how do you call it, with Israel together. From them, it was, they were the instigators for this goal. But we will study this separately in the Zohar. But just I wanted to tell this connection between the upper worlds, between the souls in the spirituality, in their roots, and the performances and the enclosings of the souls in the bodies in our world. That actually everything is the same thing, but only on the different levels. And that's why what we are studying, that's why we see there are 70 interpretations of the Torah, and that's why we see that a great part of the nation studies the Torah on the pshat, on the level of pshat, of just Moshe went over there, Abraham rose up, like this. They study this very plain about the people in our world, and with moral, with all these good traits of people, like this, you see. It's also the way, that's why we see that it doesn't contradict, but only in such a way the Zohar warns us that everyone who studies the Torah pshat, just literally in literally meaning of what is written in the Torah, that he makes the Torah as a dry land, and warns these people who study like this, only like this, that also that they are the punishment that they will receive due to this shortage of lineage. They don't see the lineage that with the spirituality. That this is a terrible thing that they are doing, because they don't attract the light from the Atzilut. You see, that's why what we are studying, and in the Kabbalah we are studying not about the Abraham in our world. It doesn't interest us. Of course it was Abraham in our world. He had to perform everything what was above for him, was prepared for him, the work that he had to do. But of course, he had deserved this, all the great things because of this, because he followed his way. You remember what he said, Hashem to him, Lech lecha, go for yourself. And he went for himself. You see, this is only, but we are studying we will see how it works, that the name Abraham, for us would not be important what they are saying about Abraham. But we will see who was Abraham. Look, how we study a little bit, just in, I will give you just a few examples. Abraham is Chesed, we know, yeah, Chesed, loving kindness. And Chesed, the enclosing of the Creator, Hashem, in the Sphira Chesed, is the name, how we call it, this name of Hashem when he is Kel Aleph Lamed. Yes, Aleph Lamed. And Abraham, who listened to the HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem, ordered him to make a Brit Milah, a circumcision of a child on the day, on which day? On the 8th day. And he was the first who made this circumcision on himself and on all his house. It means that what we are studying here, Abraham brought the Malchut in himself. And he had the power to bring also to influence the Malchut to come to the Bina. So was also Abraham. He brought the Malchut to the Bina. So he had the power of his was Chasadim. Actually, Chesed means he brought it, his quality was Chesed. And Chesed stands, as it were, from other kind, from the part of the body, is opposite the Yesod of the Malchut. Sorry, of the opposite the Yesod of the Bina. So actually, you can say that he brought it Malchut to the Chesed. There are different levels. So if you count the gematria of the name of Abraham, and now we don't speak about the earthly Abraham, because it's the same, but we are speaking about the spiritual power of Abraham in his spiritual performance in the higher worlds. You see, he was the Zeir Anpin, he was the Chesed of Zeir Anpin, of Atzilut, that rose up to the Chochmah of the Atzilut, of Chochmah of the Zeir Anpin of the Atzilut, so in the right line. And that's this way what we see in his name. His name is 8 times the name of Kel, of Aleph Lamed. 8 times. And that's why what he said to him, on the 8th day, everyone will be in you, will be circumcised. And not only this, but just give an example. So 8 times Aleph Lamed is the Chesed, the power of the Chesed. That level received Abraham. So if you count this, you will see that this is 248. And this is the Chesed. You see, Chesed. And Yitzchak. You see, what is Yitzchak? Yitzchak is the Gvura. And if you count Yitzchak, his gematria of Yitzchak is Yud, Tzadi, Het, and Kuf. The gematria, if you will count it, will be how much? 208. And the gematria 208, Yitzchak, the name of Yitzchak, is Havaya. You see, because in the Gemara is Havaya. Havaya is the name Havaya. Yud K Vav K is how much? Gematria 26. And if you multiply it with 8, you will have the power of the soul of Yitzchak. 26, 8 times again. You will get the gematria of Yitzchak, 208. Okay? And then I see that the time is going out, and then if you will get the name Yaakov, you will see what the difference is, that Yaakov took something from Abraham and something from Yitzchak, and was something extra what he had what they didn't have. I just gave an example. It is not the place to speak about this, but just to show you that the Torah is given the names in the names of the Hashem, that all the souls that are described in the Torah are the souls in the spiritual worlds. This is important for us. And then that they were descended into our world. This is just in the consequence. They had to perform this, all their functions, all their destination here on earth. But Chas v'Shalom, God forbid to speak about people here, about the Torah here on earth, just plain Torah, without reference to the worlds, to the world Atzilut, because it doesn't help. And that's why this is the wording also of the Zohar for all those who deny studying the Zohar. They say the Zohar is great, the Zohar is only for very high souls, for a few ones. But this is just in order not to study the Zohar. But nothing helps. I said to you, nothing. All what they are doing, studying only this plain Torah, only Pshat, even what they are studying in Mishnah and Talmud, they are both completely Kedusha, holy. But the way they are studying is without any spirituality, any at all. And that's why it doesn't help, because they can't get to this world all the goal of the creation, all the goal of the bringing person of the enclosing of the neshama, the soul, into the body, is to bring the spirituality, the light of Chaya into our world, and not to adapt the Torah to the body of a person. And instead, what they are saying here, the traditional learning, they just say that there is a marriage between the soul and the body, and the physical body. This is what they say. And they believe also in this. They believe this marriage, that the Kadosh Baruch Hu, that Hashem made this marriage. And this is absolutely wrong. There is no marriage between the Baruch and Arur, between the blessed one and the cursed one. And that's why the coming of the Mashiach, the general moment of the coming of the Mashiach is, how do you call it, is not coming. You see, this is why by this they don't accelerate the coming of the Mashiach, but instead in, how do you call it, in the contrary. But we don't speak about others. You remember, when we are saying like this, we are just wanting to show that the goal for what the soul is descended in the body of this world, not for the marriage with the body, but to only in the body of this world, the soul must enlarge, increase the power of the soul 620 times in this suit of the body, of the physical body. That's all. And then the soul gets back up to the to its source, and enlarged and then enriched, and nothing disappears in the spirituality. So then, when the soul leaves our world and rises up to the place where it comes to, then this increasing of the power of the soul that took place here on earth stays here on earth forever, and helps also others, because nothing disappears in the spirituality.